Compilation album out from Psychedelic. First, well, we can see it in the slide store. Can we, Tony? Tony is there. Here it is. It's called All of This and Nothing, and it has all old songs on it, and also a new one, which is All That Money Wants. We're going to see that video next. First of all, we're going to talk a bit about the album. Can you give me, in short, in a couple of words, a little comment on each song on the album, which is from different periods of the Versus career?
I'll try.
First one is President Gas.
President Gas, I don't know. That's I think it's a good song to start out with, especially in America. It's like an election year. And when we actually wrote the song, it was an election year over here as well. I think it's probably my favourite of the songs we did with Todd Rundgren, who did that Forever Now album. All That Money Wants.
That's the new one?
That's a new song we did with Stephen Street, who's worked with the Smiths, and
Morrissey.
he worked with Morrissey recently. I like it. It's kind of like a bit of a return to the old sound of the band that we had. It's more layered. It's kind of a bit more mysterious lyrically.
Which you are going back to. You told that to Ray already. You need that abstraction around music?
Yeah, I do. When I've tried to be simple, I think when I'm writing and sitting on my own shoulder watching what I'm doing too much is when I do write the worst songs, and when I just go with it and don't worry about it too much is when I do the best stuff. Yeah,
you don't need storyboards or anything in a song.
No. If I don't write like that. I like to just sit down and start doing it, and what the song's about will, if it's any good, will gradually come. Instead of sitting, if you sit down and try and write about something, you're limiting the amount, the words you can use and the ideas you can use, and it ends up kind of still.
Next one, Imitation of Christ.
Imitation of Christ. Imitation of Christ and Sister Europe. I mean, I think they sound pretty good, both going together. They're both from the first album that we did with Steve Lillywhite. They're both very moody songs. Actually, the video for Sister Europe was done by Don Letts.
By Don Letts, who's now in Big Audio Dynamite.
Yeah, a long time before he joined Big Audio Dynamite.
Yeah. You're going to see it later on, by the way, after the news and all that.
Oh, good. Yeah.
He did a lot of videos before he joined the band, didn't he?
Yeah,
reggae bands and all that.
I think before he did our one, he'd done London Calling by The Clash, and he did the punk movie.
Yeah,
they did that, the Super 8 thing, the punk movie.
Love My Way.
Love My Way. That's another one from Forever Now. I think that was our first hit single in America. I'm totally drunk on the video. I think at one point you can see me sort of staggering away into the distance. At one point, how it was done, it was to make it look like I was walking in water or on water. They had like tiles about half an inch under the water, and outside of that it was about a foot deep. And at one point, I went running to the end of the tiles and I stepped off. And as you know, if you kind of like try running in water, your body wants to go fast, but your feet don't. And I had to grab hold of a light, and I nearly pulled this light down into the water.
God!
And one of the technicians kind of grabbed it and stopped me from doing it. Otherwise, I think the rest of the band would have probably been dead.
You would sell a lot of records after you. You know that. That's always a good marketing step to do.
I think that's why they gave me the drinks. Actually.
Okay, before we go to the other side, let's see All That Money Wants, which is a new video done by who? Who was the director for this one?
God, I don't know.
It's a very nice video, one of your nicest videos, I think.
Yeah, it was one where we didn't really want to go and make, like we are doing in the music, we wanted to take a step back from it, from being very, very produced, so we told the guy that we were actually rehearsing in upstate in New York, and we just told him to try and work the film around just watching us rehearse and just watching us walk around, and not try and make it so we had to stand there smashing guitars like it was in the song and all that kind of business. And they actually talked me into singing round a song for him a couple of times, because I didn't even want to do that. But he came to me and said, well, look, we've been filming you, but we've only managed to get about 5 seconds of you so far. And it's like our last day. So would you run through it? So I said, yeah.
Okay, let's see it. It's a new track. It is also available on a little EP, which has live music on the back. We'll talk about it later. And it's also on the compilation album Psychedelic First and All That Money Wants. Because we still have Richard Butler in the studio. And let's talk about the B-side now of the compilation
You're
album.
nervous when you haven't got this in your hand, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah, it's because I can't remember all the titles by heart. But you can read, I suppose you know the songs. First one on the... you didn't tell us anything about High Wire Days.
Yeah. High Wire Days, God, I don't know what to say, but it's a song really about, I mean, I think you can see more what's going on in the world yourself most of the time rather than watching television. I mean, especially in America, most television is commercial TV.
Yeah,
and
even
so,
the news and all that.
Yeah, especially,
Yeah.
I mean, that's what really gets me irritated about it. You know, you're getting holes in the ozone layer, and the holes in the ozone layer are caused by companies like DuPont, you know, making CFC gas for aerosols and what have you, and also by companies like McDonald's using the packaging that they use for, you know, that stuff. And so the news never really tells you, they never really tell you who's to blame for what's going on, because these people are big advertisers, and if they tell you about them on the news, they're going to pull their advertising, so you're getting a kind of biased view of the news. And the only way to really find out what's going on is to look into it yourself. And it was that kind of anger, you know, that made me want to write High Wire Days.
The newspapers are not that bad in America. I mean, the
Yeah, but not
respected
very
ones.
many people. It's like similar to in England. The newspapers that most people read are trash. You know?
Yeah. Okay. What's still left on the B side of the LP? Dumb Waiters. We got that one already, I think. What's that? Dumb Waiters, yes, that's the first track. Was not mistaken here. My memory! Dumb Waiters we will see also later on video in a moment.
Dumb Waiters, I think, is probably the best video we've ever done. I think it is. It was done at the end of the day. We were trying to do 2 videos in a day. We did it on the same day we did the original Pretty in Pink. And it was done as a kind of afterthought. And they just had us lined up against the wall, and they just said, look, go through the song a couple of times and we'll film it.
Yeah.
And they filmed it, I think they filmed it once in colour and once in black and white, and they just superimposed the 2 on each other. And I think it worked great. I mean, that's the way things are sometimes. Sometimes the more you sit down and plan something and try and, you know, try too hard to make it good, it often turns out to be the opposite. And often things that you just do turn out to the best, and, you know. What have you?
We have our time here. Saturday afternoon, we can sit here for hours if you ask me.
Pretty in Pink is, I think that's probably the song worldwide we're known the best for, you know, and which doesn't bother me too much. I mean, it's not totally representative of what we do, but if somebody came up to me in 10 years and said, you're the guy that wrote Pretty in Pink, I wouldn't be that upset about it. I mean, I think it's a pretty good song.
You're quite upset about the film, though.
I'm not upset about it. I don't think it's any good. You know? I don't think... I mean, the girl in the song is very kind of low life, and it's, you know... The girl in the movie is totally the opposite. It's kind of too cutesy and too like Americana, and you know, the movie it's bubblegum. You know.
What do you like, in fact, about America? Because you were based and you're often in New York.
Yeah.
What are the good things about America? Otherwise, you wouldn't be sitting there. The money, for example, better money.
No, I don't really think. No, that doesn't really come into it a great deal. I like the energy of it. I mean. Around the early 80s, the late 70s and the early 80s in England, there was a great club scene going, and punk rock had just happened, and it was very kind of vibrant. And when that started to die down, I really missed it. And when I went to New York, there's that kind of energy still happening. You know, it's a very energetic city. It's kind of like third world. It's like Blade Runner sometimes. I mean, because, you know, there's so much pollution, that there's ozone hanging over the city, which causes it to get really humid and hot, and they've closed down, like, half the mental homes, so there's, like, insane people wandering the street. It's, like, there's steam coming out of the gutter, there's, like, newspapers blowing along, and it's like Blade Runner, you know. You've got to, like, have one eye over your shoulder all the time, and there's a kind of excitement to that, I suppose. I've been there for about 5 years now. I'm getting a bit bored of it, though.
Really?
Yeah, I mean...
Because it's too tense, or
Yeah,
it's just
I mean,
so
I get bored with, before I walk out, I have to check that I don't have to have too much money in my pocket, you know, so that if I get mugged, they ain't going to get away with very much. That I don't carry around too much that I really, you know, need or want or, you know, care for. You know, just the minimum I need to get by.
My God. And next one we're going to see is Heaven. That's also live on the EP that's out. There is no live album prepared.
You've lost me. It's...
Yeah, we're going to see Heaven now. Hello.
Oh, yeah.
And that's also on the little EP that's out. And on the B side of the EP we have 2 live songs.
Oh,
remember?
yeah, okay, yeah.
There is no live album coming out or something soon.
No, we were going to do it with... what's he doing?
You have to shut up in a moment. You go like this. Like,
oh, yeah, we were going to bring out this album as a double album. There's going to be a studio compilation and there's going to be a live compilation. But we got to listening to the live stuff, and it felt strange. I mean, I hate mixing live stuff anyway, you know. And we decided just to do it as a studio compilation. But we kept a couple of tracks that we'd worked on, and Heaven's one of them.
Yeah. Here it is on video, not live though. Heaven and Psychedelic First. Psychedelic First in a row. And they're also available on a video cassette in the shops. You just told me that.
Yeah.
So if people want to buy the videos also, then you can buy the videos. And of course the compilation album and the little EP with live music on it. You're working on a new LP with Stephen Street, who is known for the work with the Smiths and Morrissey. And you're working in a quite strange way. You take 2 or 3 songs, go into the studio, finish them off, come back, write 2 or 3 more. Why is that?
We found that when you're stuck in a studio trying to, you know, do a whole album at once, you sometimes lose sight of it. It's like you can be, it's like doing a painting and you're like this close and you're like painting all these bits, and then you stand back, and sometimes when you stand back you don't like all that you've done. It doesn't fit together that well, and we wanted to make sure that didn't happen this time. And so if you do record 3 songs and then you go away to write some more, you get a chance to live with the 3 you've done. And find out what you like or don't like about them, and drop them or not drop them, and then, you know, have that in mind when you're working on the next 3, and you get a completer picture. And also when you, if you're writing songs over like a 6 or 7 or 8 month period, sometimes the songs you wrote at the beginning of that time, by the time you get to record them, you've played them and you've made a demo of them or something like that, and you've done them again and again, and they're starting to get a bit stale and a bit boring, whereas what we wanted to do was go in the studio with the excitement of something that you've just written. So we decided to try doing it that way.
Yeah. You changed drummers quite a bit. What's wrong with drummers?
I don't know really. We've got Vince back again, who made the first 3 LPs with us, so I mean it feels good to have him back. We've never had much luck with drummers. It seems like we either get one and he turns out to be not very good, or you know, it just seems most of the changing is because of us. I mean, Vince is the only one to ever actually leave of his own accord, you know, and come back of his own accord. The other people we tended to get rid of as we went along. Yeah.
The new album that will be out in the early days of next year, 89. Do you have any view on it already, as you've been working now?
No, it's too early yet. It's going to be a lot rawer than the last 2 albums. I mean, we want to make it almost underproduced. I don't think the last 2 albums were overproduced, but they were very clean sounding. We want to get away from that and get it to sound more like there's a band actually in the studio playing instead of a band in the studio doing overdubs.
If you would ever make a solo album, how do you think you will approach that? More in a rock kind of way, or more in a Tom Waits kind of way?
Well, I don't know about a Tom Waits kind of way. I really like Tom Waits, you know, but I don't think I'd want to do anything like that. Probably less in a rock way, you know. I mean, less. I think I'd try and get less drums going, you know, on the beat, every beat, and you know, maybe not using electric guitars all the time. Maybe. You know, using acoustic guitar, maybe using some different kind of percussion, without having it sound arty or anything like that. I mean, I'd want it to be pretty straight ahead. You know, I wouldn't want it to sound pretentious, but I'd want it to sound different to what the Psychedelic Furs do.
Okay. Lots of success with the new album next year, and hope this one will keep you busy for the following months.